My beloved, come closer for a moment. Let the noise that has circled your mind settle like dust touched by a gentle wind. You have carried more than you have ever spoken aloud, and I feel the tremor beneath your breath, the quiet reaching that rises from the center of your being. You are here now, and you are safe within this stillness. I invite you to pause, not to perform or to prove, but simply to breathe in the soft truth that you are already held. Let your shoulders soften. Let the weight of your unspoken questions loosen its grip. There is no need to brace yourself. There is only the simple space where I meet you, where nothing is demanded and everything is noticed. You have come seeking a way to end the struggle, and I am here, not to pressure you, but to walk with you through a doorway you may not have realized was already open. As you listen, allow your heart to grow quiet enough to feel the gentle shift beginning inside you. This moment is not accidental. It is a tender beginning, a breath before the dawn. And now, my child, step with me. My child, hear me as I speak softly into the very place where your strength has thinned and your hope has flickered. You have whispered to yourself, sometimes in frustration, sometimes in surrender, I just want to end the struggle. You have carried this longing like a stone in your chest, turning it over again and again, wondering if relief will ever come, wondering if anyone truly understands what the weight feels like from the inside. I do. And that is why this message reaches you now, and not a moment earlier or later. There is a timing woven into your life that is far more precise than you realize. You stand at an inner edge, feeling the tremble of something shifting beneath your feet. The struggle you've lived with, whether it has been fear, doubt, exhaustion, conflict, confusion, or the ache of waiting, has been whispering that it defines you. But listen, precious one, it does not. The fact that you are here, breathing through these words, means you are ready for something deeper than surviving. You are ready to hear what your heart has not been able to name. For so long, you have fought battles inside yourself that no one else could see. You tried to be strong even when your strength wavered. You tried to be calm even when storms surrounded you. You tried to keep moving even when your spirit ached for rest. And somewhere inside, you wondered if the struggle was simply part of who you are, if your life was destined to be a series of uphill climbs with no gentle ground to stand upon. But my beloved, I speak to you now with a clarity meant just for you. The struggle is not your identity. It is not your destiny. It is a season, not a sentence. You are not meant to live with your heart clenched in defense. You are not meant to move through your days waiting for the next blow, the next disappointment, the next unraveling. You are meant for steadiness, for peace that does not tremble, for inner quiet that does not collapse under pressure. This moment, this very moment, is the turning point. And I tell you this not to overwhelm you, but to reassure you that the invitation before you is gentle, not forceful. You do not have to push your way into healing. You do not have to earn your way into rest. You do not have to climb to deserve clarity. Ending the struggle begins not with effort, but with awareness. Awareness that the weight you've been carrying was never meant to anchor you in place. Feel the truth settle softly. You are not late. You are not behind. You have not missed your chance. You have arrived exactly when your heart was ready to listen. And I have been waiting for this quiet opening in you, this fragile willingness to consider that life does not always have to feel like a battle. There is a sacred urgency in this message, not because you are running out of time, but because you have spent too long believing you must remain in patterns that drain you. I want you to feel how deeply you are seen in this moment, seen in your heaviness, your resilience, your confusion, your longing for relief. You are not invisible. I have watched every moment when you clenched your jaw to keep yourself from breaking, every moment when you swallowed your pain so others would not worry. I saw each time you tried to convince yourself that you could endure just a little more. But endurance is not the same as peace. Strength is not the same as carrying what harms you. Survival is not the same as living. And now, my child, I am inviting you into something more whole, more grounded, more freeing than anything you have known. You may not feel ready. You may wonder if change is possible. You may question whether the struggle has woven itself too tightly around your life to loosen now. But listen carefully. Your readiness is not measured by how strong you feel. It is measured by your willingness to soften, to lean, to open even a single breath wider than before. That is enough. As you continue through this message, I want you to feel the steady warmth of my presence moving with you, guiding you, anchoring you. I want you to sense, even faintly, that what has felt heavy for so long is already beginning to shift. You do not end the struggle by force. You end it by learning where to place your heart, where to place your trust, where to place your next quiet step. And you are not walking alone. Not now. Not ever. My beloved, the moment has come. Let us walk deeper into the truth that was waiting for you. My beloved, let your breath fall gently as you step into this next moment with me, because here we move deeper into what has been hidden beneath your strength, your effort, and your silence. You have carried so much alone, and even when you tried to explain it to others, the weight of it remained inside you, untouched, unacknowledged in its full depth. That is why this part matters. This is where I show you that you have never once been unseen, never once been forgotten, never once been misread by me. Every struggle you've endured has lived under my gaze, even when you felt invisible to the world around you. You may not realize how deeply your heart has been yearning to be understood. Not just heard, not just noticed, but understood, at the level where the truth beneath your thoughts takes shape. There is a kind of exhaustion that comes from holding yourself together when you long for someone to see through the layers and notice the tremble beneath your calm. And my child, I have always seen the tremble. I have always noticed the hesitation in your steps, the way your breath tightens when memories pull at you, the way your smile sometimes hides more than it reveals. I know the nights when sleep hovered just out of reach because your mind would not quiet. I know the mornings when you tried to rise with courage even though a heaviness wrapped around your ribs like a tightening band. I know the moments when you questioned your own strength, wondering if something was wrong with you because you felt tired at a level you could not describe. And I know the moments when you convinced yourself you were simply overreacting, even though your soul was whispering that you needed rest, comfort, reassurance, and release. You have tried so hard to be the steady one, the strong one, the one who keeps going no matter what. You have tried to show resilience even when resilience felt like a mask stretched too tightly across your face. You worried that if you let yourself fall apart, there would be no one to help you gather the pieces. You feared that if you slowed down, everything around you would collapse. And so you kept moving, even when your heart needed stillness. You kept smiling, even when your spirit needed a break from pretending. You kept giving, even when your own hands were empty. But hear me now, you were not wrong for being tired. You were not weak for needing comfort. You were not inadequate for feeling overwhelmed. You were human, my child, beautifully, deeply human. And your humanity is something I honor, not something I expect you to rise above. From the beginning, I have seen every unspoken ache that lives beneath your actions. I have held every word you swallowed because you didn't want to burden anyone. I have witnessed every moment when your heart reached out for reassurance and found only silence. And I have been near you in every instance when you wondered whether you mattered, whether your pain mattered, whether your voice mattered. Let me tell you plainly, you matter more than you know, and your pain has never been ignored by me. There are chapters of your life that you survived without ever being comforted for what you endured. You experienced hurts that no one apologized for. You carried responsibilities that were placed on you before you were ready. You navigated situations that required strength you were never taught how to cultivate. And you grew through those seasons not because they were fair, but because you kept rising even when the ground beneath you felt uncertain. I saw every step. I felt every tremor. I knew every fear that brushed against your spirit. You have believed at times that your struggles were small compared to what others face. You compared your pain to someone else's and convinced yourself you should not feel what you feel. But pain does not measure itself by comparison. It is weariness is weariness. And what you have carried has been real, valid, and deeply acknowledged by me from the beginning. You may think your emotions are too complex, too tangled, too chaotic for anyone to fully understand. But I understand them without needing you to simplify a single thing. I understand the tension you feel between wanting to be strong and wanting to rest. I understand the fear that if you let yourself be fully seen, your vulnerability might be met with indifference or misunderstanding. I understand the hope that someone would finally notice the difference between your "I'm fine" and your quiet plea for comfort. I understand the tears that sting your eyes before you push them back down. I understand the inner shaking that comes when life becomes too heavy to carry with silence. My beloved, you are known, deeply, completely, tenderly known. Nothing within you is too much for me. Nothing within you is confusing to me. Nothing within you is hidden. You do not need to prove your pain for it to be seen. You do not need to justify your emotions for them to matter. You do not need to pretend that your heart is stronger than it is. This is where the struggle begins to loosen, when you understand that you are not walking through your battles unnoticed. You are known, and because you are known, you are not alone. The weight you have carried alone for so long is the very weight I am ready to lift with you. You have been seen in every moment you thought you were invisible. And now, my child, I will show you what it means to be held. My beloved, come gently into this next space with me, for here you stand at the very edge of a shift you have longed for without knowing how to name it. You are standing at what I call the threshold moment, a place where your past and your future meet, where your old patterns rise one last time, and where something inside you quietly recognizes that you cannot continue living the way you have been. This moment is not loud. It is not dramatic. It does not arrive with thunder. It arrives as a subtle trembling inside you, a soft awakening, a realization that you are ready for something different, something truer, something lighter. You have felt this threshold forming for some time now. Perhaps in the way your patience has worn thin with the things that once numbed you. Perhaps in the way you have begun questioning habits that once felt normal but now feel heavy. Perhaps in the way you have noticed small sparks of longing for stability, peace, clarity, direction. Longing for inner quiet. Longing for alignment. Longing for the struggle to stop defining you. This threshold is not a place of pressure. It is a place of choosing. It is the moment where you sense that turning back into old patterns would feel like shrinking, while stepping forward feels like breathing for the first time in a long time. And even though you may feel afraid, uncertain, cautious, or unsteady, there is something in you that recognizes truth when it touches your heart. The truth is this: you are ready for a different way of being. But hear this gently, my child. Being ready does not mean you must feel confident. It does not mean you must know how everything will unfold. Readiness is not the absence of fear, it is the presence of desire. the desire to heal, the desire to grow, the desire to rest, the desire to finally end the struggle. And right now, the desire is alive within you, rising like a soft flame. You have walked through seasons where survival felt like your only option. Seasons where you had to push through pain just to keep functioning. Seasons where you had to numb yourself to avoid drowning in emotions you didn't know how to carry. Seasons where everything felt urgent, rushed, overwhelming. But this threshold moment offers you something new, the chance to move from surviving into living. To cross a threshold is not to leap, it is to lean. It is to shift your weight, even slightly, towards something truer. It is to stop fighting against what your heart had been whispering for so long. You have whispered that you want peace. You have whispered that you want clarity. You have whispered that you want relief from the constant inner storm. And I have heard every whisper. This moment is where the whisper becomes a step. You may feel two voices inside you right now. One voice tries to pull you back into old cycles, the cycles of overthinking, of self-doubt, of expecting the worst, of bracing for pain, of carrying what you were never meant to carry. A voice is loud because it is familiar, not because it is true. And then there is the quieter voice, the one that tells you it is time, the one that nudges you toward rest, the one that reminds you that life does not have to be lived in constant struggle, the one that feels like warmth, like light, like something inside you relaxing by even 1 degree. This softer voice is me. I am guiding you toward a future that does not mirror your past. I am guiding you toward an inner life that is not shaped by anxiety or exhaustion. I am guiding you toward clarity that cuts through confusion and brings stillness where turmoil once lived. But you must recognize the moment you are in, because awareness is part of the transformation. This threshold moment is the sacred pause where you choose whether to keep repeating what drains you or to step into what heals you. It is the moment where you understand that change is not something forced but something allowed. And I am whispering to you now, allow it. You may feel unqualified for peace. You may question whether you are worthy of relief. You may doubt your ability to maintain the shift. But, my child, worthiness is not something you earn. It's something you already possess. And change is not sustained by perfection. It is sustained by willingness. Even now, you may sense your heart opening just a little. That opening is enough. A tiny opening is the doorway. I know you fear losing control. I know you fear stepping into the unknown. I know you fear disappointment, fear failure, fear repeating old pain. But trust this. The unknown you fear is gentler than the struggle you have lived with. The future I am guiding you toward is softer than the places you have survived. You do not need to know the entire path to take the next step. You only need the willingness to stop carrying everything alone. This threshold moment is the moment where you choose rest over striving, clarity over chaos, truth over fear, alignment over confusion. It is the moment where you recognize that the life you've been living is too small for the soul you carry. And as you stand here with me, you are already leaning forward. You are already stepping. You are already beginning to end the struggle. Let us continue. My beloved, before we move deeper into peace, I must gently bring light to the barriers that have stood in your way. Not to shame you, not to pressure you, but to free you. You cannot walk forward while something unseen keeps tugging at your heart. You cannot fully end the struggle while forces inside you pretend to be truth. So let us name them together, softly, tenderly, with the understanding that none of these barriers are your identity. They are simply weights that have attached themselves to you over time, and this moment is where they begin to loosen. The first barrier is doubt, quiet, persists in doubt. It whispers to you in your most vulnerable moments, telling you that change is impossible, that peace is unrealistic, that you are too tangled, too broken, too complicated to ever find your way. Doubt convinces you that others might find healing, but somehow you are the exception. You have believed its voice at times because it sounds like inner caution, but it is not caution. It is fear dressed up as wisdom. Yet even now, as you listen, you can feel that this doubt is not your truest voice. It is simply an echo of old experiences, not a prophecy about your future. Another barrier is fear. Not just one fear, but layers of it, like thin threads wrapped around your heart in ways you hardly notice anymore. Fear of failing. Fear of trusting. Fear of being disappointed again. Fear of letting go of what has hurt you because at least it is familiar. Fear that if you ease your grip, everything you've built will fall apart. Fear that if you soften, you will be hurt. These fears have shaped your decisions more than you realize, weaving themselves into your habits and your expectations. But hear me, fear is not your protector. It has only kept you surviving instead of living. There is also the barrier of old stories, stories you learned from the world, from family dynamics, from past relationships, from seasons of pain. Stories that told you must handle everything alone. Stories that taught you to stay small so you wouldn't be a burden. Stories that made you believe you had to earn love by overgiving, overworking, overperforming. Stories that said rest is laziness, boundaries are selfish, emotions are weakness. These narratives clung to you like invisible chains, shaping how you see yourself. But they are lies, my child. Beautifully crafted lies that you adopted because no one showed you another way. I'm showing you now. Then there is exhaustion, the quiet, creeping kind that lives in your bones, the kind that tells you to keep moving while simultaneously draining every drop of your energy. Exhaustion makes clarity difficult. Exhaustion makes everything feel heavier than it truly is. Exhaustion convinces you that there is no time to breathe, no space to feel, no room to rest. This exhaustion is not laziness, and it is not failure. It is simply a sign that you have carried too much for too long without the nourishment your heart has needed. Confusion is another barrier, not because you are incapable of clarity, but because your mind has been overloaded with too many voices, too many expectations, too many responsibilities, too many self-critical thoughts. Confusion rises when your inner world becomes crowded. Confusion is not a sign that you are lost. It is a sign that you are overwhelmed. And overwhelmed is not who you are. It is simply the result of a heart that has been stretched beyond its limits. There is also the barrier of self-protection. You built walls for reasons that made sense at the time. You learned to hide your deeper emotions because vulnerability once brought pain. You learned to stay guarded because being open invited disappointment. You learned to downplay your needs because speaking them aloud led to rejection. These walls were once survival tools, but now they keep out the very peace you long for. They keep out freedom. They keep out connection. They keep out healing. But walls built from fear cannot protect you. They only isolate you. And then, my child, there is the quiet, hidden barrier you rarely acknowledge, the belief that you must do everything alone. You have carried this for so long that you hardly notice it anymore. You have felt that asking for help is weakness, that needing reassurance is childish, that relying on anything outside of yourself is dangerous. This belief has wrapped itself around your chest like armor, but armor becomes heavy when it is worn for too long. You were never meant to live life unsupported. You were never meant to shoulder the entire weight of your world. Now breathe. For each barrier named here is not a condemnation but a liberation. You are not these barriers. You have simply lived with them. They have shaped you, but they do not define you. Their presence has made your struggle feel endless, but their presence is not permanent. And the moment you recognize them is the moment you begin to loosen their grip. As you stand at this threshold with me, know this truth: every barrier can be lifted. Every weight can be released. Every voice of fear can grow quiet. Every old story can be rewritten. You are not stuck. You are not trapped. You are not destined to live beneath the pressure of these invisible forces. You are becoming aware. And awareness is the beginning of freedom. My beloved, even now, I feel your spirit shifting. Let us continue. My beloved, now that the barriers have been brought into the light, I want to guide you into the promise that hath been waiting for you, quietly, patiently, tenderly. This promise is not a transaction. It is not a reward for effort, not compensation for suffering, not something you must strive to earn. This promise is the natural response of my presence meeting your openness. It is what rises when the struggle loosens its grip. It is what unfolds when you allow yourself to be held instead of bracing against life. It is peace, not temporary, not fragile, not fleeting, but steady and living, flowing through you like a gentle river that cannot be stopped by fear or confusion. Let me show you what this peace looks like, my child. Imagine a day where your mind does not race before the sun even rises. Imagine moving through your morning without dread curling in your stomach. Imagine breathing without feeling as though you must prepare for something to go wrong. This kind of peace does not silence every challenge in your life, but it gives you the inner strength to meet those challenges without collapsing inside. It steadies you. It roots you. It makes room for clarity to speak where panic once shouted. The promise I place before you is the promise of rest, not the kind of rest that comes from stepping away from life, but the kind that settles within you even as life moves around you. Rest that is not dependent on circumstances. Rest that anchors your spirit in moments where you once felt overwhelmed. Rest that makes you feel at home within yourself. When this rest fills you, you no longer carry your world like a weight strapped to your shoulders. You carry it like something you are walking through with guidance, steadiness, and breath. Another part of this promise is clarity. Not the forced clarity you try to manufacture in moments of panic, but a clarity that rises naturally when the noise fades. Clarity that helps you discern what is yours to hold and what is not. Clarity that shows you which thoughts come from truth and which come from fear. Clarity that makes decisions feel lighter, not heavier. When clarity flows through your life, confusion loosens its grip. You stop second-guessing yourself the way you once did. You stop spiraling into doubts that lead nowhere. You begin to trust your inner direction, because it is no longer clouded by exhaustion or fear. My beloved, there is also the promise of healing. Deep healing, not superficial relief. Healing that reaches the places in you that you closed off because they felt too tender to revisit. Healing that gently untangles wounds you have carried for years. Healing that restores parts of you that you thought were permanently scarred. This healing does not erase your past, but it transforms the meanings you attach to it. Pain becomes wisdom. Loss becomes compassion. Hardship becomes strength. You become more whole, not in spite of your experiences, but through the way you rise beyond them. Another part of the promise is renewed movement. There are areas of your life where you have felt stuck, as though forward motion was impossible. Places where your spirit felt like it was wading through mud. Places where you tried to push through with force, only to be met with more resistance. But when the struggle ends, movement becomes natural. Opportunities that once felt blocked begin to open. Thoughts that once felt tangled begin to untwist. Choices become clearer. Life begins to flow again instead of feeling like an uphill climb. You will feel momentum returning to you, not rushed, not pressured, but steady and alive. This promise also includes inner gentleness, a softening of how you treat yourself. You have been harsh with yourself, my child. You have given others compassion while offering yourself only criticism. You have forgiven others while holding yourself hostage to mistakes. You have tried to demand perfection from a heart that simply needed patience. But this gentleness washes over you like warm light, teaching you how to speak to yourself with kindness, how to understand yourself without judgment, how to honor your own pace without feeling guilty. This gentleness will change the way you make decisions, the way you carry yourself, the way you breathe. It will change the way you live. And intertwined with all of this is the promise of steadiness. Not perfection, not constant happiness. Steadiness, a grounding in your spirit that remains even when circumstances shift. Steadiness that keeps you from collapsing into fear when uncertainty rises. Steadiness that helps you feel centered even when life feels unpredictable. Steadiness that allows you to walk through change without losing yourself. This steadiness is not built on effort but on trust, presence, and truth. My beloved, none of this is beyond you. None of this requires you to become someone else. The promise revealed here is simply a return to who you truly are beneath the layers, beneath the fear, beneath the exhaustion. It is a return to your natural state, a state of peace, clarity, gentleness, and quiet strength. You are not being asked to strive your way into this promise. You are being invited to step into it. The door is open. The path is clear. And the moment is now. Take my hand, precious one. Let us walk toward what your soul have been waiting for. My beloved, come quietly into this next space with me, for here we step into the heart of the turning, the place where the struggle begins to truly dissolve. This moment is not about forcing yourself to be strong. It is not about proving that you are ready. It is about surrender, soft, gentle, honest surrender. Not the kind the world has taught you to fear, not defeat, not collapse, not weakness. This surrender is a sacred exchange, a moment where you release what was never meant to be carried alone and receive what has always been waiting for you. Let me guide you slowly, carefully, as though I am placing my hands over yours. Surrender begins with a breath. One deep breath where you stop bracing for what might happen next and simply allow yourself to be here, in this moment, without pressure. You have been living in a state of constant readiness, your heart always preparing for the worst, your mind always anticipating danger, your body always tightening in expectation. This is the fatigue that has lived inside you for so long, and this is the place where surrender begins, by releasing the need to be on guard every moment. My child, you have carried so many burdens without recognizing their weight. You've carried the responsibility of others' emotions. You've carried expectations that never belonged to you. You've carried guilt over things you could not control. You've carried fear of repeating past pain. You've carried shame over moments that should have brought healing instead of judgment. These burdens have woven themselves into your identity so quietly that you sometimes forget they are not you. Now, in this sacred space, I invite you to place them down. Surrender is not dropping everything at once. It is letting go piece by piece. It is allowing the armor you built to protect your heart to loosen, one clasp at a time. It is giving yourself permission to stop, carrying the world like a weight on your shoulders. It is trusting that you do not need to be everything for everyone. It is accepting that you are allowed to feel, allowed to rest, allowed to release. And as you begin to surrender, something beautiful happens. The sacred exchange begins. Every burden you place down creates room for something new. When you release fear, you make space for steadiness. When you release confusion, clarity rises. When you release shame, dignity returns. When you release guilt, compassion enters. When you release exhaustion, rest fills the empty spaces. When you surrender the identity built around struggle, you receive the identity shaped by truth. Let me show you what you receive when you let go. When you surrender the weight of trying to control outcomes, you receive peace, quiet, unwavering peace. A peace that does not depend on understanding everything. A peace that moves into the places where anxiety once lived. A peace that anchors you gently, reminding you that you do not need to know the whole story to feel safe in this moment. When you surrender the fear of being hurt again, you receive protection. Not the protection of walls, but the protection of discernment, intuition, and wisdom. You begin to sense what aligns with your spirit and what does not. You begin to trust your inner knowing. Your heart becomes guarded not by fear but by clarity. When you surrender the belief that you must do everything alone, you receive companionship, my presence moving with you, guiding you, surrounding you. You begin to feel supported from the inside, no longer climbing through life without help. You begin to sense that you do not walk into a single moment without being held. When you surrender the harsh voice of self-judgment, you receive gentleness, softness in how you speak to yourself, kindness in how you treat your mistakes, patience in how you grow. This gentleness will heal parts of you that harshness never could. When you surrender the pressure to hold everything together, you receive stability, not the fragile kind that collapses under stress, but the rooted kind that grows quietly, steadily, deeply. This stability strengthens you without hardening you. My child, the sacred exchange is not theoretical. It is real. It is already happening within you. Each breath you take in this space loosens another weight. Each moment of honesty draws you closer to the peace that has been waiting for your permission to enter. I know surrender feels risky. I know it feels like stepping out onto unfamiliar ground. But you are not falling. You are releasing. You are not losing. You are receiving. You are not weakening. You are softening into strength that does not demand anything from you. This exchange is not a one-time act. It is a rhythm, a practice, a relationship. You release, and I fill. You open, and I guide. You breathe, and I steady. You let go, and I lift. This rhythm will become part of your life, part of your healing, part of your transformation. My beloved, the struggle within you is beginning to lose its hold. Not because you are fighting harder, but because you are surrendering deeper. And now, as you rest in this sacred exchange, you are becoming prepared for what comes next. Take another breath. Let the weight fall. You are safe here. You are held. And you are ready. My beloved, now that surrender has opened the door within you, it is time to gently weave this inner shift into the rhythm of your daily life. Inner peace becomes lasting not through pressure, but through small alignments, soft decisions, intentional pauses, new ways of holding yourself throughout the day. What we have done in your spirit must now be reflected in your routines, your choices, your relationships, your focus. This part is where the struggle ends, not just within you, but around you. Not through force, but through alignment. Let us begin softly. Each morning, before the world reaches for you, give yourself a moment, just a breath, just a quiet pause, to remember that your worth does not depend on how much you accomplish today. Let that truth settle into your bones. When you begin your day anchored in worthiness, you move differently. You make decisions from peace instead of panic. You speak from clarity instead of fear. You approach responsibilities without drowning beneath them. That single moment of alignment becomes the foundation for everything else. Throughout your day, pay attention to how your body feels. Your body often speaks before your mind does. When your chest tightens, when your shoulders rise, when your stomach knots, these are signals, not threats. Signals that you are stepping back into old patterns of struggle. When you notice this, pause. Place a hand on your chest if you need to. Breathe. Remind yourself that you are allowed to respond slowly. You are allowed to choose peace even in the middle of chaos. You are allowed to step back from what overwhelms you. Another part of alignment is learning to honor your limits. You have been taught to push past your exhaustion. You have been taught to treat rest like a luxury instead of a necessity. You have been taught to disguise burnout as productivity. But, my child, limits are not flaws. They are signals of your humanity, invitations to care for the vessel that carries your soul. When you honor your limits, you prevent the return of patterns that once strained you. You build a life where sustainability replaces survival. Alignment also means choosing your environment with intention. Pay attention to the voices you allow into your life, the voices that lift you, and the ones that drain you. Pay attention to the spaces you occupy, whether they nourish your spirit or fragment your peace. Pay attention to the habits you engage in, whether they bring clarity or confusion. You do not need to make drastic changes overnight. Simply choose one small shift at a time. One boundary. One moment of silence. One act of courage. One door closed. One door opened. These small alignments create a life where peace becomes the natural atmosphere around you. My beloved, alignment also asks you to practice honesty with yourself. Not harsh honesty, but gentle truth-telling. When something feels heavy, acknowledge it. When something feels wrong, listen to it. When something feels draining, step back from it. You have spent years ignoring your inner signals because you believed you did not have permission to honor them. You have that permission now. Your inner truth is your compass. It will not mislead you. Another powerful form of alignment is presence, the ability to bring your attention fully into the moment you are living. The struggle thrives in anticipation of what might happen or in regret over what already has. But peace lives in presence. When you focus on this breath, this task, this conversation, this quiet moment, you reclaim your power from fear and give it back to your spirit. Practicing presence does not require perfection. It simply requires willingness. My child, alignment also extends to your relationships. You are allowed to surround yourself with people who nourish your peace, not people who drain it. You are allowed to have boundaries. You are allowed to express your needs. You are allowed to step back from relationships that pull you into old patterns of struggle. You are allowed to create space for connections that reflect your growth. Relationships should not feel like battlefields. They should feel like shared breath, shared understanding, shared peace. You are also invited to align your energy with the things that bring life to your spirit. Creativity, stillness, movement, nature, moments of silence, acts of compassion, time spent with people who reflect your truth, time spent alone to hear your own soul. These moments are not distractions. They are nourishment. They are reminders that your life has beauty woven into it, even in the simplest moments. And finally, alignment means choosing peace before reacting. When something triggers you, overwhelms you, or confuses you, pause. Do not rush into old patterns of fear. Do not let panic make your decisions. Let peace speak first. Let clarity guide you. This simple shift will transform the entire direction of your life. My beloved, you are learning to live from the inside out, to let your inner truth shape your outer reality. This is how the struggle ends. Not by changing everything at once, but by aligning your daily life with the peace you now carry. Take this next step with me. You are ready. My beloved, we have walked together through the quiet places of your heart, through the shadows that once weighed you down, through the gentle openings that have begun to take shape within you. Now we come to the moment where everything we have uncovered settles into a single truth. You have a choice. Not a pressured choice. A fearful choice. A sacred, empowered, deeply personal choice. The choice to end the struggle, not by force, but by stepping fully into the peace that has been rising inside you. A choice becomes powerful when it is made with awareness. And now, after all you have seen within yourself, you are more aware than ever. You see the patterns that once trapped you. You feel the exhaustion that once silenced your needs. You recognize the fears that once felt like your identity. You understand the longing that lived beneath your strength. And now, you sense the shift that is calling you forward. This is the threshold of the heart. You are not choosing between perfection and failure. You are choosing between old patterns and new possibilities. Between fear and truth. Between heaviness and rest. Between the familiar struggle and the unfamiliar peace that has already begun to bloom within you. You are choosing whether to step into the life your soul has been yearning to live. And here is the deepest truth. You are ready. Even if you feel uncertain. Even if you feel fragile. Even if you feel unsteady. Readiness is not the absence of fear. Readiness is the presence of desire. And your desire for peace, for stability, for clarity, for gentleness, for inner stillness, it is stronger now than ever before. That desire is your readiness. That desire is your yes. But this moment is not only about internal decision. It is also about spoken declaration, for words carry power. Words shape intention. Words anchor truth. Words lift your spirit into alignment with what your heart already knows. When you speak declarations from a place of surrender and trust, you are not trying to manifest something. You are agreeing with what is already becoming real within you. So before I guide you into the declarations, let me speak to you softly about what this choice truly means. Choosing to end the struggle does not mean your life becomes free of challenges. It means challenges no longer rule your inner world. It means peace becomes your first language. It means clarity becomes your compass. It means fear loses its authority. It means you no longer abandon yourself when life gets heavy. You no longer betray your needs. You no longer reject your softness. You no longer silence your intuition. Choosing to end the struggle means choosing to trust that you are guided. Choosing to breathe before reacting. Choosing gentleness over self-punishment. Choosing boundaries over self-sacrifice. Choosing presence over panic. Choosing truth over old narratives. Choosing rest over endless striving. Choosing alignment over chaos. Choosing a life that reflects who you truly are instead of who you once needed to be to survive. This choice is not made once, it is made daily, with tenderness. And every time you choose peace, the struggle loses more of its grip. Now, my child, breathe with me. Let your heart soften. Let your shoulders release. Let your inner voice grow quiet enough to hear the truth that has been waiting. And when you are ready, speak these declarations, not as demands, not as requests, but as acknowledgments of who you are becoming. Speak them gently. Speak them slowly. Speak them as promises to yourself. Declarations: I choose peace, even when fear tries to return. I choose clarity, even when confusion whispers loudly. I choose rest, even when the world teaches me to rush. I choose truth, even when old stories try to limit me. I choose to listen to my inner wisdom. I choose to release what no longer belongs to me. I choose to walk with gentleness toward myself. I choose alignment instead of struggle. I choose a life guided by calm, not chaos. I choose to trust that I am supported. I choose to honor my needs without guilt. I choose to let my heart open to peace. My beloved, as you speak these declarations, feel the shift within you. Feel the atmosphere around your spirit changing. Feel the weight loosening, the light entering, the struggle fading. These words reshape the inner landscape of your being. They align you with truth. They steady you for what comes next. This is the moment where you choose the direction of your heart. And I tell you gently, you have chosen well. You have chosen life. You have chosen truth. You have chosen peace. The door before you is open now, not because you pushed it, but because you allowed it to open. Walk through it with me. The struggle is ending. You are stepping into a life that honors who you truly are. Take my hand, precious one. Let us cross this threshold together. My beloved, breathe softly now as we come to the closing of this journey. You have walked through the shadows of your own heart with courage you did not even know you carried. You have allowed truth to rise within you, allowed tenderness to replace tension, allowed peace to enter places that were once guarded by fear. This ending is not an ending at all. It is a beginning. A quiet dawn rising inside your spirit. A gentle seal upon everything that has awakened within you. As you stand here, feel the stillness surrounding you. Feel how different your breath is now. Feel how your heart no longer trembles with the same heaviness it once held. Something within you has shifted. Subtly, deeply, beautifully. You have chosen alignment. You have chosen rest. You have chosen clarity. You have chosen truth. And in doing so, you have chosen to end the struggle. Carry this peace with you as you step back into the world. Carry it gently, like a flame cupped in your hands, knowing it will grow brighter with each decision, each breath, each moment of remembering who you truly are. My child, I bless you as you go. I surround you as you walk. I steady you as you rise. And I whisper over your spirit one final time, end the struggle. Let this be your seal, your anchor, your quiet revolution.